Breaking news on KGW News at 11.
Good evening. That breaking news tonight, a deadly shooting inside the Vancouver Mall during a trick-or-treat Halloween event.
How easily it was flipped into a horrifying scene, with kids and, parents lifting their children off the ground, trying to find shelter.
Tonight, we're hearing from a shopper who heard the gunshots and ran for safety, with police now working to track down the suspected shooter. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Vancouver police tell us one person was killed and 2 others were hurt. It does not appear any of them were children. Authorities adding there is no active and ongoing threat. Let's get right to Alma McCarty live at the scene with the very latest. Alma.
Yeah, David, we spoke with Vancouver police for an update just about an hour ago, and they tell us that those 2 that were injured in this shooting were taken to the hospital, but they do not know their condition at this time. And again, they did want to stress right now there is no active threat inside of Vancouver Mall. Now, this happened, they say, inside in the food court area, which is on the 2nd floor of the mall. Witnesses inside told officers and mall security that one person shot at another and fired more rounds, hitting those 2 other individuals. People were told to shelter in place when those reports came in around 7:30 this evening. And at this point, investigators are still clearing out the mall, and they are reviewing the security footage to figure out who the suspect or suspects are. At this time, no one has been arrested or charged.
And we don't know the motive behind the shooting and whether this was something that was random or it was targeted toward an individual or individuals.
Now, this comes on a very rainy and windy Halloween night. This is video of that trick-or-treating event that was happening mall-wide with participating stores. We were there a couple of hours before the shooting, and we talked tonight to one shopper who was on the floor below the food court when the shooting happened.
We started to walk into Old Navy when the first shot rang out. It was very loud, and then there was a series of shots. We ran through Old Navy and hid in the back until the employees, who were amazing, ushered us into a back office area with 20 other people. And we hung out there until we could get the okay from the SWAT team to come out.
Hector Hurtado, who you just heard from there, told us parents and kids in costume were part of the group that was hiding inside of that Old Navy. That included a mom with a baby. Just a very, very frightening situation for so many of the people involved and witnessing this event, this incident tonight. Now, at this time, there is still a very large police presence outside of the perimeter of the Vancouver Mall. There's far fewer officers out here than there were just a couple of hours ago, but they are still here and they are still investigating. Still, there are a lot of unanswered questions in this case, and Vancouver police tells us that they are going to be releasing information as soon as they are able. Now, they are asking for witnesses to come forward with information if you have not already spoken with investigators, and you can submit tips and information anonymously. David, back to you.
Yeah, terrifying for a lot of families on this Halloween night. Worth noting once again, Alma, there is no ongoing threat. Alma McCarty on the breaking news in Vancouver. Thanks, Alma. Stay with KGW for continuing coverage of the aftermath of the mall shooting. Updates as we get them right here at KGW.com and streaming on KGW+. Okay, we are just 5 days out from Election Day, and in Clackamas County, elections officials say a key piece of equipment is repeatedly malfunctioning. This is the machine in question. It's called a mail ballot sorter. It's been having mechanical issues since last week, and although they have fixed it a couple of times, it's continued to break down, causing a delay in the first stage of ballot processing, where barcodes are scanned and signatures are checked.
The crux of the issue is that we are getting jams that make it difficult to process a large volume of ballots at any one time. We are taking proactive measures to fix this and also working through the process to continue processing ballots, even without the mail ballot sorter actively functioning.
County clerk there. In the meantime, staff are using hand scanners to process ballots. That's an established practice, typically done in smaller Oregon counties. The county approved funding for a new mail ballot sorter last month, though that new machine will not be up and running until May. Meanwhile, some businesses are saying they are not taking chances when it comes to protests or violence. Today, we found several small businesses in downtown Portland boarding up windows and putting up barriers.
We want to cover the windows just in case something happen, you know what I'm saying? But I had a feel that nothing's going to happen.
Protests come, if they do, they come, and we can't change the world.
Well, the police bureau has already canceled time off for officers and plans to have them work 12-hour shifts next week. Plus, uniformed security officers will be posted at the Multnomah County Elections Office in Southeast Portland. Hey, we hope you'll join us for our election night coverage that's streaming on KGW+. Join me and Laurel Porter, plus our team of political analysts, including outgoing Congressman Earl Blumenauer, to break down the results in the key local and national races. We'll also have the KGW News team across the region at various election night headquarters. It's going to be a big night. Streaming coverage begins at 7 Tuesday evening with the first local results coming in at 8. Join us on KGW+. You can download the app for free on Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, authorities have identified the victim killed in a shooting Sunday morning in Portland's Sabin neighborhood as 22-year-old Leno Batista Guzman. He was found dead inside a parked car near Northeast 20th and Prescott. No word on any arrests. Anyone with information should contact Portland Police. Multnomah County says ambulance provider AMR is trending in the right direction with better ambulance availability. A few months ago, the county struck a deal with AMR, an ongoing pilot program that'll be reviewed next year. The changes include a hybrid staffing model, which lets AMR pair paramedics with an EMT instead of always requiring 2 paramedics. The goal was to make more ambulances available for emergency calls. And for the second time this year, nurses at Providence St. Vincent have voted to authorize a strike. It comes just a week after doctors at the same hospital authorized a potential strike. You might remember in June, nurses at Providence St. Vincent and 5 other hospitals walked off the job for 3 days. They continue to negotiate for a new contract. If there's no deal, it is possible nurses and doctors could strike at the same time. Well, a Washington County mother of a young man shot and killed at a Hillsborough Max station is fearful after jury convicted the man charged with his murder of a lesser charge. Devin Haskins has that story.
That's the day.
It was December 11th, 2019. Almost 5 years ago, Hillsborough police were called out to a shooting in the parking lot of the Quitama Max station. One man was shot and killed, later identified as 21-year-old Kevin Marshall.
It's very hard. Because Kevin wasn't like a regular person. He was beyond with everybody. He cared for people. And
Kevin's mom, Liz Marshall, says her son always wanted to make people laugh. He was born in Puerto Rico and moved here when he was a teenager. The person that shot Kevin that night, 21-year-old Jason Bennikin.
We treat him as our own son. He celebrated holidays with us. He celebrated Christmas with my friends from church. He celebrated Thanksgiving.
Kevin and Jason were close friends, but had a falling out after Liz says Jason made inappropriate comments to family and friends.
He was not happy, Kevin separating himself from him because they were very close, and then Kevin totally tried to separate himself from him.
Bennikin was first detained the night of the shooting. He told police he shot Kevin in self-defense and was released.
It was a nightmare. I was scared, locking the houses, putting camera, because he was out there.
Bennikin was arrested several months later in May of 2020 and charged with second-degree murder and unlawful use of a weapon. If convicted, he faced 25 years to life in prison. But instead, jurors found him guilty of a lesser charge of second-degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to 75 months in prison on Monday.
After seeing all the evidence, no, this is clear he murdered my son. And in 2 years, he's going to be out.
A worry that haunts her.
2 years, I have to think now, how am I going to rearrange my life to protect my family? Because I don't feel protected. I don't. So.
As part of Bennikin's sentence, he was credited for time served, which means by the time his trial started earlier this month and his sentencing just days ago, he had already served a good majority of his 75-month sentence. I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.